Ladies and gents, my name is Neuro, and we are going to take a look at some Serral gaming. Serral gaming here in ZvZ on Solaris, which is a very short rush map with zoomy zones. Deathmall, thank you for the subscribe and for sponsoring this amazing breakdown. Lambo versus Serral. Now, Lambo is a friend of Serral's. I don't know tons about their relationship, but I do know that they do talk about builds and such. And Lambo is an extremely strong Zerg. So for Serral, how do you beat an extremely strong Zerg? The answer is to be God or Serral. Let's see what he does here. Both of these players I would describe as fairly conservative players, not in the sense of their political views per se, but in terms of risk-seeking versus risk-averse playstyles. Usually they're both happy to get the macro lead in a matchup, heavy drone count, and kind of beat them in the traditional long game sort of way. But ZvZ is a very dicey place. There's a lot of violence that happens throughout the course of the game here. And this is an extremely short rush map, so who gets hurt first and why? Excuse me. At Neuro, do you think StarCraft 3 gonna came out? Not anytime soon. The devs who made StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 and stuff are currently otherwise occupied with other projects. So it would need to be a brand new crew of people who didn't work on StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2 or Warcraft 3. Which could work, but that's a like 6-year project probably to even think about launching it. And I would think that we would have heard some noise in terms of announcements. If I knew something, I would be under NDA as well, so it's possible that I just know everything about StarCraft 3 and I'm just sworn to secrecy. But just kind of leveling with you, I did not sign an NDA for StarCraft 3, and I know nothing about the future prospects of it, but would be cool. Would be cool. All right, Serral, thank you for helping us fill time in the early game, by the way. Serral is getting ling speed and pulling one drone off gas to get a little bit more relative mineral income here. Lambo did the Eric build, as some people call it. I don't know whose build it is, but he went for a 14 hatch, and now he's going for a lair and a second gas. So probably opening with a 2-base Roach would be my guess. Serral's getting that third base, one of the luxuries afforded by getting the ling speed upgrade. 2 queens are out, injects are running. Taking a look at the units tab here. Neck and neck in terms of drones and queens. Serral made 2 lings. He sees the Roach horn and the queen and seems satisfied with that information. Kind of peeking around here, trying to distract the queen. One small detail that a lot of these high-level players abuse consistently, but many other players don't really think about much, is the tempo of being able to grab your opponent's attention and force them to do something that they weren't going to do themselves. And this doesn't even need to be dealing damage. Just by Serral moving his lings next to the queen and aggroing the queen, he forces Lambo to respond to that with some unit control. It's not a big deal, but if Serral can drone and distract his opponent, that's a nice way to get a small edge here. He is going to make a ling flood. Quite a few lings are out. There's a Roach horn on the way for Serral. Evos are coming up here for Lambo. 18 lings on the way. Let's see what damage they can get. Lambo gets the wall mostly in time. Lings are attacking this first queen. There is a backup queen behind it. But the wall is compromised, and Serral is in. Surrounds the Roach fully, and then sees the Roach queen. Is like, you know what? That's enough. Oh, getting a cancel on the Evos. That's going to be an advantage for Serral later on. He would have been behind in upgrades, but since the Evos were canceled, he's going to be even in upgrades with his opponent. Lambo does have Roach speed, and for these early game fights, not having +1 isn't really the worst thing. It's mainly going to hurt whenever people are at that +2, +1 power spike for Roach battles. Serral has a massive larva lead right now. There's only 1 injected hatch for Lambo. There's a 3rd base on the way, but Serral has been cooking on 3 bases for a minute now. He's making some roaches. He's actually being very cautious about not taking a lair. One of the easiest ways you can die in this situation as the 3-base player against 2-base roach is by getting lair, +1 range, roach speed, and drones, and then you have no roaches and they just move out and kill you. So, Serral's saying, you know what? As long as I can hold my 3-base of injected Zerg production, I'm okay, even if I don't have roach speed. Because he has a massive macro edge right now. But Lambo has a big roach edge. 17 roaches with roach speed, so these roaches are more numerous and more maneuverable. The queens and the roaches trying to get in position to hold this attack, and they do so. That's a really common micro procedure if you're the 3-base player against 2-base, is whenever the 2-base roach attack is going to hit you, you just pull all the queens, maybe make 1 extra queen. But it gives you a little bit of extra tankiness, mainly. Queen DPS against roach kind of sucks, but the queens are very tanky. I say that and then a queen just gets sniped pretty easily. But you get the idea. They have 175 health, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. +1 range is going now. A layer is going now. So Serral made 17 roaches and then felt like he was safe. Good to know. You're against 2-base roach, make 17 roaches and then go back to macro. Ish. He's remaking the queen here. He didn't really lose inject uptime, even though he lost that queen. He may have queued up an inject that I missed. Lambo's droning up here. Serral gets a few lings in the main. He wants to scout for any tech choices here. Is there a Hydra Den? Is there an infestation pit? Is there a spire? He doesn't see any of those, but that's still information. Burrow is going out here, and Tunnel Claws. If Serral was paying close attention to this when he ran by, he may have noticed that Tunnel Claws was going. He already knew that roach speed was happening, or was done, because he got attacked with speed roaches. So if he ran by here, I actually kind of want to just check this, just to see like how jacked in and detail-oriented is Serral scouting, because he's regarded as the best. He's widely regarded as the best. So the lings are here. He makes an overseer, and he does see the roach horn jiggle, and he has his camera on it for a little bit, so he knows. That's great. That's a good read. Tunnel roaches are very strong. If you just surprise your opponent with them and suddenly have tunnel roaches in the base, they're going to have a bad time. There's also an Urubu here with 10 hit points. One of the local birds of Solaris, apparently. The roaches are just going to pass on by. Serral's getting a spine here. This is a part of ZvZ that I sometimes struggle with, depending on my level of patience that day, where both players are making 3-base roach of stuff, and sometimes I just get impatient. I'm like, I'm gonna go attack them. But if you attack them and you don't have a specific edge, they're gonna have defender's advantage and a similar number of roaches, which means you're gonna end up losing the fight, and then sometimes they can push across and kill you. So, what does Serral do in such a context? Because he's got things going for him, right? He's got 3-base saturation. He's had a drone lead for a pretty long amount of time. He's had a larva lead for basically the whole game. But Lambo has a strong army. And it's so close in terms of roach count and ravager count that I don't think he can just go end the game. He's got to think about his next steps here. So he's going for Overlord speed. He's getting +1 armor here, +2 range attack. The +2 range attack, +1 armor is a massive power spike for Roach Ravager battles. Overseer scouts in the main, sees that Evo chamber. So Serral, from this, might actually be able to infer that he's going to have the earlier +2/+1. And this is like a later stage consequence of that wall being canceled earlier on. Lambo could have kept the wall and gone for more of a later term plan, but he went for that speed roach attack and canceled those evos. So Serral is actually going to have the upgrade lead here. All the Overlord speed overseers. What does he do with these? He's moving these around, going for this 4th base. I haven't actually tried taking this 4th base in ZvZ on this map. Part of the reason for that is there are so few Zergs on the ladder that I hardly ever get ZvZ. And many Zergs, I think, might veto this map due to dealing with mech, but I'm not sure. It's just rare that I get ZvZs here. Serral is getting Burrow as well. Hydra Den coming up for him. I would guess this is for Lurkers. I think Hydras are regarded as a bad unit, but if he makes Hydras and pushes with RoachHydra Ravager, I'm learning. He does not get a Hydra upgrade yet. Could also just be for safety in the case of Spire. Both players are maxed now. Lambo is moving in for a trade. Serral has an amazing concave at the high ground here, so Lambo sees that and is like, nah. Nah, fam. That ain't it, chief. Drone falls back. That is a delay at the 4th base here, so Lambo has the earlier 4th. Serral right-clicks that changeling. Did you know that you can just right-click a changeling? You don't need to attack-click it. Not everyone knows that. Serral also has ton of roaches. Oh, and he's going for an enormous run-by. He's going to try to defend with what he has here, and then go for a big attack. He's attacking Lambo's 4th base. Serral does have the upgrade advantage. Oh, he actually doesn't have +2 yet. Oh, now he does. That was a very tight timing. Lambo pushed with +2 range attack just before Serral's +2 was done. But now Serral has the upgrade lead. And these roaches doing so much damage in the run-by. Lambo's reinforcements simply aren't enough. But Lambo does have the stronger army right here, right now. Right here, right now. Will the reinforcements be enough to stop this? This roach counter is still doing work. That's so brave. He just yeets like 20 roaches whenever his opponent is pushing him. Lambo's making 7 mutas. Serral has the Hydra Den. And he has Groove Spines already done. Muscular Augments are on the way. This is Serral's game to lose at this point. He has a big supply lead. He actually lost more eco than Lambo did. But Lambo lost the 3rd base and the queens. So his infrastructure is pretty scuffed. +2 armor going on the Evo chamber here. Drones are being transferred. Serral's got a decent bit of money. He's just trying to get a big army here. Production tab is probably all Hydras for him. He's got 6 roaches, 2 Hydras, making some queens. Corrosive Bile trying to get these overlords, but it takes 4 biles to kill an overlord, not 3. This Ravager is gonna be killed. Ravagers, should they have tunneling claws? Why or why not? Did you know that Serral is the reason the tunneling roaches got nerfed a few times? Before they nerfed it, he was basically unbeatable in ZvZ. Just his ability to multitask different groups of tunnel roaches and keep them alive as an active threat in people's bases. It was too busted. They nerfed it because of him. But it's still good. It's just not as good as it once was. A decent pack of mutas here, but the Hydras with the upgrades are really hard for these mutas to deal with. The Hydras have 2/2, and these are 0/0 mutas. Yikers. I feel like Serral can just yeet his roaches and then defend with Hydras. Because the roaches don't do anything to this. And Lambo doesn't have any Banes. Ravagers do put pressure on Hydras because Hydras have to move to dodge the biles. But the Hydras with 2/2 and the Muscular Augments and the Groove Spines, they should be looking fairly strong here. And of the various maps to go RoachHydra against Muta, this is the one. Okay, that was a mistake. Alright, I feel like Serral's just going to end the game right here. Let's see. Lambo does have the high ground, which means he can set up a concave. He has 3 queens this here as well. Mutas are trying to do a counterattack. They meet 3 Hydras and they're like, actually we can't. Because 2/2 is very good. RoachHydra trying to move up. Gets an Overlord. But he doesn't want to throw. How do you win ZvZ but not throw in Roach versus Roach? The answer is you send in the Shark Roaches. This base has 1 spine. Another reason Tunnel Claw Roach is so strong in ZvZ is because they do decently well versus spines, especially as their upgrades get better. Spines and spores and cannons don't benefit from upgrades like units do. So early game spines are very strong, but in the late game, compared to like a 2-2 Roach, they're not really that scary. So this spine is not going to be enough to discourage Serral from attacking here. He's breaking the rocks here and also killing a base here at the same time. Does he have these armies hotkeyed separately? He does. Oh my gosh. He plays 2 StarCraft games at once. Get a wide angle on this battle. The RoachHydra is moving up to the high ground. The supply is telling the story here. The 2-2 RoachHydra is enough to power through and take this game. Very nice. So a quick breakdown of how he did it there. He took the larva advantage by taking the earlier third with Ling speed. He pressured the wall with Lings, which forced a reaction out of the opponent, kind of set him slightly off balance. He made 17 Roaches defensively before getting Lair and +1, so that he wouldn't die to the speed Roach attack. And then he hit a +2/+1 upgrade power spike, scouted the mutaplay, mixed in some Hydras, and then ended the game with a Roach counterattack while he defended into a big RoachHydra max out push against Roach Ravager Muta. Very well played, Master Serral.